Joining us now to carry on this discussion is someone with unique insight into what's taking place in the Peach State. Seth Weathers is a political strategist and former Georgia State Director for the Trump campaign. So Seth, you've been kind of giving us updates along this entire campaign process, and it's been a relatively long one for a lot of people because everyone knows how much really rests on these two races. So is it a tightening race? Is the candidate pulling away with it in any direction? What's the status like as of right now?
You know, I don't see any one candidate pulling away from the pack in an obvious way at this point. For Republicans to win, there has to be a hell of a turnout tomorrow. And I believe we will have that. But it's a reminder as well, there has to be a hell of a turnout tomorrow for the Republicans to win this. And I do believe we will pull it off. The Republicans typically do very well in runoff elections here in Georgia, and I think we will tomorrow as well also.
And the reason why a lot of people are a little bit hesitant about declaring any victory preemptively or anything like that is because there are concerns about turnout because of what happened on November 3rd. A lot of people don't necessarily have confidence in the system there. There's been some, I'll just call them fringe voices that have been putting out things, maybe saying don't come out to Georgia. But I think that if you are a conservative or you're a Republican, you care about your agenda at all, you have to know the importance of what's happening in the Senate, how important Senate control is going to be for the party. Do you think that message has gotten across?
I do believe it has, and I know you don't want to mention his name, but I just want to point out that Lin Wood is a terrible, dumb, horrible human being. I cannot say what I'd like to say about him on air right now. And his misinformation is not helpful. If you're a conservative, you need to get out and vote tomorrow. You're nuts if you're not. If you want Warnock and the other characters in office, then you've lost your mind, because I don't think people realize, or I hope people do realize, the insane changes that would take place if these two got elected. So I believe we'll have a very strong Republican turnout tomorrow, and that's certainly what we're pulling here for, and the whole country, at least the Republicans, are pulling for.
Yeah, we've seen in this political moment that sometimes people do try to take advantage of that moment for their own career paths moving forward, their own self-interest, anything like that. But I think that this is something where if you're a Georgian, you should be invested in this race. If you're a conservative, you should be invested in this race. If you're a Democrat, I'll just say you should be invested in this race because you have exactly what's on the line as anybody else does for that matter. That's how important this is going to be. So when we look at Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue and what they're doing, do you think that this is going to be a winner-takes-all type of thing where if Republicans do come out and vote, they're going to win both of those seats, and if they don't, they're going to lose both of those seats?
You know, I've been looking at that, looking at some of the early vote numbers and everything that's going on, and looking at the race. I do believe the Republicans will pull it out, but I do see a potential where we could have a mixed bag, meaning a Republican could win and a Democrat could win. And if that were the case, my belief would be that Warnock would win and Perdue would win if it were to be split. Again, I feel and hope that we will have a straight Republican ticket tomorrow. But if it were to be split, I feel that that's the direction it would be done. So, which would be incredible having a guy like that in the Senate.
And I mean, once again, I mean, just everyone at home, just picture who would be on the other side right there. I mean, there are ideological differences, and it's not just the individual differences of these candidates, but the ideological differences of the parties. I think that's really has to be stressed going into this as well. But when we look at the state of Georgia, it's also the center of attention when it comes to the presidential race as well. We know that there's been some back and forth between the president and the Republican leaders of that state as well regarding the integrity of these systems and everything that's been going on there. Do you have any reason to believe that there's anything that people should be worried about or anything like that? Or is the only way to overcome any concerns is to come out and vote no matter what?
You know, it's something that's been taught in politics for years, at least in Republican politics. Vote so many, have such a high turnout that it can't be stolen. And that, I think, still stands. And so, yeah, and also we have more poll watchers, more Republican poll watchers than we've ever had in the history of the state by far. We have people watching the ballot boxes, which was not happening in the November 3rd election. So there has been huge safeguards that have been put in place due to the demands of the public that I do believe adds extra security to tomorrow's election. So I do believe that that will have a significant difference.
And that's something that Vice President Mike Pence has also been saying, too, is that now that there is such a strong focus on what's happening in Georgia, that anything that would happen would have to be done under the microscope that's already taking place. There are so many eyes on this race. There are so many people coming in, making sure that it's followed to a T, that everybody who does want to participate can participate. And I think that highlights also really what's at stake here. I mean, we've seen Democrats come in from across the country, outside money pouring into this race as well, the same way as Republicans as well. So Do you think that this is all going to come to fruition in the next couple of hours? Really, that the ads will take effect, that everything that really everybody's been pouring into this race. Tomorrow, do you think we'll get a result, or do you think it'll be another dragged out process a little bit, such as we saw on November 3rd?
I don't believe it'll be necessarily drug out that far. I think we will have we'll have a result by early Wednesday morning. I do believe. I mean, it could come earlier. I don't know. Maybe it's not as tight as some of us are concerned it being, or it could be. But either way, worst case scenario, I would say early Wednesday morning we'll have a result on that race.
And I think that comes as good news for a lot of people, especially those who do have their concerns from the presidential election, because as we know, when a lot of people went to bed that night, President Trump was up and they woke up the next morning only to see that the headline was a lot different. So I think that you're exactly right to say that, everybody, if you do want to make a difference in this race, the only thing you can do is go out and vote. Seth Weathers, I really appreciate you coming on the program tonight, giving us an update in the state of Georgia. Thank you.
Anytime.